What is your toxic relationship story? Husband makes fun of me in front of his family for earning less money than him. I am in my mid-20s, and he is in his early 30s. So, we are married for 6 months now. He started doing this about 2 months ago and does it often since then. He earns about 3k monthly while I get just €750. I work as a sales assistant in retail. He is a process mechanic. That being said, before we married he tried to convince me to stay home and promise to care for me. But I didn't want that. I also wanted to work. Now he makes fun about my earnings. Mostly on family events. He says things like I need vacation. What about you go to work and I take some free time for myself? Oh, but wait, we would starve with your pay, right? Get a real job. What, you are tired? I wish you could work at our company for one day, then you would know what it is to be tired. I felt awful, maybe because he is right. He pays our rent, our bills and everything. But I thought we had a balance by me doing all the household and paying for groceries, cooking and so on. I told him that I don't like it when he makes my job look worthless. But he just says that it's the truth because I don't earn much money. We started to fight because of this almost every day. I don't know what to do. I thought about doing a second job, but I don't know how to manage it because I also do distance learning. Any advices? TLDR, husband seems to be annoyed that I earn little money. I don't know what to do to make things work again. Update. I took the advice I received and confronted him in front of his family by making a joke. At first there was silence till his brother made up a fake laughter to calm the situation, as you literally could feel the tension. My husband just gave me a poisonous look and didn't say anything. Later at home it became a huge fight where he held a speech about his role as man, his pride, and that I was unable to be a good caring wife who supports her husband. As I didn't shut up this time, he told me to F off. I took a few things of mine and went to my parents. I can't believe that he changed to this person, as I met him as an open-minded man. And I can't believe we were trying to have a baby together. I'm glad I could open my eyes before it went that far. I'm going to divorce. My parents are thinking that it's a temporary situation, but I don't want to risk a life in abuse and handcuffs. Thank you all for your advices. 2 months before we were supposed to get married, my fiance cheated on me. We are in our early 20s. A lot of people advised me not to get married this young, but I didn't listen to them. I told them how we were in it for the long haul and us getting married is just a way to secure our relationship and make it stronger. I've been with this guy for 5 years now. Ever since I was 18. Our relationship had its ups and downs, but was fairly strong. We didn't fight that much and usually resolved our problems before going to bed. He popped the question 8 months ago in our anniversary and I was so ecstatic that I immediately called my friends and family. I was confused as to why my father wasn't as happy as I expected him to be about this news. I later learned that he didn't think I should get married yet and that I should maybe wait a little longer. I was so in love with this man that I didn't listen to my dad's advice. I later announced that I'd get married this upcoming March. Everything went okay and me and my SO were really happy about everything. We were going to move into a bigger place and he even got promoted. We didn't have any problems whatsoever. He was affectionate and didn't act different or cold towards me, until one day he got home later than usual because he went to a work party. I didn't really think much of it. I thought that he deserved a break since he was working a lot lately. The next day, he acted very strangely. Even when I simply hugged him, he didn't hug me back. I, again, didn't think anything of it and just thought that he might be stressed out because of work. Stupid, I know. He usually uses my laptop because he broke his own. So when I found his Facebook page open, I don't know what made me want to snoop around, even though usually I don't. I found very explicit messages between him and this girl that he works with. I kept scrolling to a month ago and saw how they were meeting when I wasn't home and were having sex. I even saw a selfie with the girl and him in bed. To say I was heartbroken was an understatement. All those late nights that he spent working, he was apparently with her. The sad thing about this whole situation is that we were getting married after 2 months. He could have at least told me that this didn't work for him anymore instead of letting me plan our wedding while also working and having to go on work trips often. I was sleeping 3 hours a day so I can juggle all of that while also trying to maintain a social life. I confronted him and after a yelling match, he confessed that he's been with her for 3 months. 3 freaking months. While I was working my ass off and being freaking sleep deprived. I told him that I couldn't continue my life with a cheater, and he cried and told me that it wasn't serious and that he loved me. I left the house because I knew that I was so weak that I would probably take him back because I truly love him. 4 days later and I am currently at my dad's house. He still calls and texts me daily and I ignored all of them because I know that I'm currently very emotional and that he could take advantage of that. What I hate the most is the mask that I have to put on whenever I go to work. The fake smiles. I don't know what to do. No one knows about this except for my dad and my best friends. What I hate the most is having to tell everyone that the wedding is off. I can't even think about that. My life is so intertwined with this guy. I don't know how to get over him or over the fact that my wedding dress is sitting in my closet and I'll never get to wear it. 5 years gone to waste. Really great. I know at this point, my wedding is probably off, but it's so hard for me to understand that. I've been working hard to make this happen. Yesterday I slept for 12 hours for the first time in so long just because I was so angry. I am sorry for the long story. I am just trying to vent and this is the only way I can do it. TLDR, my fiance cheated on me 2 months before our wedding and I am devastated. I'm thinking about ending my longest relationship of 1 year and 2 months. Friends and family tell me I'm too picky, give up too easily, or what I really want is a woman. We are in our mid-20s. For context, not all of my friends know everything listed here. Only a select few do. The rest only get details I'm comfortable sharing. Keep that in mind if they seem insensitive. A little relationship backstory. Before my current boyfriend, my longest relationship, 1 year, was also my first. At 18-19, I ended things with him because of his fat fetish, which made him really controlling and jealous when I started losing weight. After that ended, I lost 80 pounds over the course of 2 years, when I met the next serious guy at a bar. We were together for 6 months before I found out he had had another girlfriend for the first half of our relationship. Looking back, I was an idiot. He had an eye condition, and couldn't drive, and I must have unknowingly dropped him off at about a half dozen dates. Needless to say, that experience damaged my ability to trust, not only men, but myself and my judgment. The next relationship was at 23, for 7 months, with a guy I'd affectionately describe as a cold fish. He lacked empathy to a worrying degree. It started with small things like buying super bright LED headlights and saying he doesn't care if other cars can see or not, and graduated to things like actively ignoring me when we're in the same room because I said something he didn't agree with. He also let an elderly woman go without air conditioning for an entire 24 hours because she was annoying. The next guy was only 4 months. I was drawn to him because he was interested in the same career as me and that's all we talked about, which is why I didn't find out he was a raging misogynist until 4 months in. He went on an awful rant after his buddy got dumped by a girl that was overweight, saying, "Cover your ears for 5 seconds, it's offensive warning." This is why I don't date fugly bitches. They don't know their place. I hope she freaking kills herself. Which brings us to the current guy, John. He's 27, makes an extremely comfortable living. We have a ton of common interests including the same obscure hobby, which is how we met. He's helped me get back into school after an 8-year hiatus and he's generally pretty stable. The main issue I have, is that he lies constantly, about absolutely random bullcrap. Examples. When we first started dating, he told me he had to put his dog down when he was a kid. It was a long sad story with a ton of details. A few months ago we were discussing a local shelter and he said he's never had a pet. Ever. I asked him about the dead dog and he said I was mistaken. He told me his favorite dessert was bananas Foster. I suggested making it once and he said he's allergic to bananas. When I brought up he said it was his favorite, he got all stuttery and said he meant he's always wanted to try it. Okay. I told him I used to be really heavy, and he said he got really big in middle school. You guessed it. Showed me his embarrassing school pictures and he was a baby athlete all through school. I didn't even bother mentioning it. Day-to-day stuff. He'll lie about napping while being active online, or say he hasn't eaten all day when his sink is full of dishes and I did them last night. This is just a few examples. I could go on forever, but this is already super long. I just feel like I'm going crazy. I have ended every single relationship I've ever been in and I'm about to end this one. 2. I confided in some friends about the lying specifically, and some of them think it's hilarious, and a couple are downright scared for me. They say my standards are too high, and that if I want someone I'm attracted to, honest, stable, empathetic and breathing, then I need to find a good woman. One just sent me the song Coin-Operated Boy by the Dreadson Dolls. Are they right? Do I give up too easily, or do I just have the absolute worst luck in the world? Any ladies single? I'm not perfect, but I'm financially stable. I'm working on a degree and hope to have a career in forensics. I don't smell. I can do a pull-up. Any advice? TLDR, I have ended every relationship I've ever been in and I'm about to end this one because my guy is a serial liar. Friends think I'm too picky. I think I've been cursed. My parents are using me as a messenger because they are not talking to each other. I don't know what to do. Hi. This has been making me very upset in the past 2 months or so, and only made me more upset right now. I live in an apartment with my mom, dad, and sister. My mom and dad are in their 50s. I am in my early teens, and my sister is less than 10. So, my parents have always had problems here and there and don't really act like my friends' parents. They don't kiss, don't hug, don't hold hands, or do anything like a couple really. This never bothered me and I never really noticed it as anything. It wasn't until some point that my mom told me that she doesn't love my dad anymore and that she was still here only for my sister and I. I didn't know how to feel about that and I'm not sure if my dad loves her still or not. So anyways, my dad is very protective of his money and doesn't trust anyone with it. I guess he is also a bit stingy. Money is the major reason he and my mom fight a lot. He doesn't trust her with it because he thinks that she will send it to Mexico to her family. My parents are immigrants, or spend it on something useless here. They've never fought for this long and it was because of, again, money. My sister and I have been home since March due to a disease claiming lives every day, and my school sent a food card to every family, so we could buy food. It has more than 1K in it. Taxes also came in around February and we're stable right now I guess. My mom asked my dad to give her 2K to buy some things that we needed in our apartment some months ago. We needed a vacuum around February because the last one broke. But not anymore since my dad found a used one somewhere at work. But we still need an air mattress for my parents. The last one ripped so now my dad sleeps on the floor and my mom on the couch. My dad agreed, but hasn't given her the money as of late June right now. Taxes came in February. They got into an argument about this around probably either late April or early May. It ended with my mom keeping the food card and my dad agreed with that. Now my mom refuses to speak to my dad and my dad refuses to try and make amends. My parents have always used me to talk to one another here and there before, not frequent, but just sometimes, but now it's been happening every day. Ask your mom what she wants from the supermarket or tell your dad that he needs to drive me to the laundry center. And I've been getting tired of it. I'm constantly used as their messenger and if I mess up in telling one of them something the other gets mad, and when I don't understand what they want me to tell the other spouse, they get even more angry and tell me to forget about it. They don't even interact anymore and each time my dad gets home, my mom retreats to my sister and I's room and doesn't come out until it's time to go to bed. If it's a Saturday or Sunday, my dad doesn't work on those days, then the whole day she's in our room. They constantly complain about each other to me and ask if they're right with what they're venting about. I usually nod my head and agree because I don't know what to tell them. It's usually my dad who vents and he also sometimes insults my mom in Spanish. 2 days ago my mom told me she was tired of asking my dad for money again and again and that she was going to take matters into her own hands and go to the bank to take money out of his account. I was shocked and didn't want her to because that is a very big breach, but didn't say anything to my dad about it because if I did my mom would get mad at me. I also felt like my mom deserved to get some money since she stays at home with us and doesn't work and needs to buy things for the apartment and us, but I am very torn between both sides. She was supposed to yesterday, but she didn't go. So I'm hoping she just forgot about it. I know we're not meant to go out because of the pandemic, but my mom wanted us to go to my aunt's house because she's been in a kind of depressive state and she doesn't want it to worsen. The last time my aunt got depressed it didn't end that well. I agreed. I also really wanted to go, and my sister was super excited too. Today my mom asked me if I had told my dad that we were leaving on Friday and I told her I hadn't because I thought she was going to do it or had already done it. She looked a bit upset. But then she told me to go tell him and to also tell him to give her money on Thursday so she could go wash her laundry. I did and my dad looked more upset than her. He told me to ask my mom if my aunt and uncle have been to any hotels. He's very cautious because of the virus and wants us to stay away from the outside for as long as possible. I knew it was a sort of silly question, but I went up to my mom and asked her. She became even more angry and told me that she wasn't going to answer that and even snapped at me about it. She told me that if my sister and I wanted to stay because we were too scared of the virus then we could and she would go by herself. I got angry myself and told her that I wanted to go, but was just asking for my dad. When I went back to my dad, I just told him that they haven't gone anywhere and he didn't respond. My mom now has asked me to tell my dad something else later. I paid attention to what she was saying, but still don't know what she wants me to ask. I don't know what to do now because I'm sick and tired of going back and forth between them and don't want this to continue any longer. Any advice I will greatly appreciate. Was I wrong for having a tree house removed from our property? My grandparents died recently, and I inherited their farm. I was really excited about this, getting the farm, not their deaths. I was actually really close with them. My husband and I are in our mid-20s, and we have been looking for a house near my new school. It's my first year as a middle school teacher, and this house holds sentimental value because grandfather built it for grandmother as wedding present, and it's a huge property, literally hundreds of acres. A few subdivisions have been built nearby, including one directly adjacent to the farm. My husband and I were exploring our new property, which has quite a bit of wooded area, and we found a huge living oak tree with a treehouse in it. This was obviously done by an adult, not children because the lumber was new, and it was really well built. Even had an AC window unit and glass windows. My husband and I waited around to see if anyone showed up, And sure enough, a guy, mid to late 30s maybe, and a few kids show up. The guy immediately has an attitude and asks why we're on his property. My husband tells him that it's actually ours and that we have the papers to prove it. The guy tells the kids to go play and he starts freaking out because he thought that no one owned this property, so he doesn't understand how land works. He's trespassing, and he has an attitude. We tell him that he needs to leave because this is private property and we don't want to be held liable for any of his kids getting hurt on our property. He leaves and was pissed, and we immediately call the sheriff's office to report the trespassing issue, and we call a contractor to have the treehouse removed. Like I said, I'm a teacher, I can't afford a liability lawsuit. A few days passed, the treehouse was removed and the lumber was donated, and the guy shows up on our doorstep, accusing us of stealing his Christmas gift to his son. I explained to him that, because the treehouse was built on our property, without our consent, that legally, it was ours. He threatens to call the police, and I tell him to go for it because, legally, we're in the right. The police show up, and the guy ends up being really embarrassed because he was proven wrong and fined. I feel fine having the treehouse removed, but a few people from the subdivision have called our house phone, calling us kid haters and selfish monsters. Again, couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm a school teacher, I love kids. Legally, I'm in the right, but morally, I don't know. So, am I the unreasonable one? My husband and I have decided to build a privacy fence spanning the length of the subdivision and a hurricane fence spanning the rest of the property line. We also are investing in more no trespassing signs and security cameras. The wife of the guy actually did reach out to apologize to me and my husband about her husband's actions. I'll be sending a batch of chocolate chip cookies to her tomorrow as an olive branch. We agreed with her that it's best not to involve the homeowner association because I don't want them to get ridiculous fines for breaking the contract that was drawn up with my grandparents about residents not trespassing. I was technically sexually assaulted by a girl. Now she's becoming friends with my friends. We are in our early 20s, and I am male. So a few months ago, while out with friends, I met and befriended a girl. She was cool. She just had what seemed to be an issue with taking 4 Loco and Xanax, but other than that she was pretty and seemed fun to talk with. She would come out with me and some friends once and everything seemed fine, but then we saw her pop some pills and drink and she would act kind of crazy, and kept showing me photos of herself naked asking for my opinion. I just humored her and said she was pretty and made sure she didn't drink anymore after she had done what she did. Fast forward to later the night, she doesn't want to go home because of her family. I get it, family can suck, so I offer to have her stay at my place since I've drank a bit too. So I get a lift and we head back to my home. So when we're back I open my couch up since it's a bed as well and get it ready, but she doesn't want to sleep there yet. So being the good guy I just tell her she can watch Netflix with me in my bed till she's tired. So as we're watching Netflix, she leans over to me and asks to have sex, but I decline, telling her she's still not sober and I don't want to have sex nor do I see her in that way. I get it, watching Netflix in a bed together can be misleading and I apologized for that. She says okay and that it's cool, I don't like her like that, and while we're still in bed, I semi-drunkenly doze off. I woke up a bit later, and I feel this sensation, and I open my eyes and I see her on me, riding me. She looks at me and realizes I'm awake and actually smiles. I feel repulsed. I'm still a bit drunk too, and I don't feel the strength to toss her off, so I pretend to go along with it, fake an orgasm. Then I hop out of my bed and go sit on my couch in the living room. I was shaking, I felt gross, but I try to shake it off and just sleep on the couch. I woke up early in the morning, drained because I couldn't sleep, and kept panicking myself awake, and I go and wake her. She then asks for sex, and I'm repulsed. But I think to myself, maybe if I take control I won't feel this way. So I agree even though every fiber in my being's screaming no, and we start to have sex. I'm in full control, but I just can't finish, and I stop, and I call a lift for her and send her home. So a few months have gone by and I've still been trying to cope with it. I was shamed by men in my family I thought could help me, telling me men can't be sexually assaulted, and that I'm being a bitch, and I still don't really know how to deal with it. But I'm getting by. So tonight my friends invite me to their place to hang out. It's been a minute and I'm excited to see them too. When I show up and open the door to their place though, they left it open for me. I notice someone sitting on the couch in the living room with my friends. It's the girl. I felt betrayed, even though I never told my friends, and I felt repulsed. I went pale and my hands became clammy, and when my friend saw my face he came over and asked if I was okay. I told him nothing and just left. So right now it's 3 something in the morning. I'm drained and don't know what to do. How do I tell my friends what happened? In my heart I know they wouldn't be like my family, but I trusted my family and they said I was overreacting and being a bitch when I thought they'd never say something like that. I'm afraid my friends will too. Update. So it's been about a week since things happened with finding my friends with the girl who sexually assaulted me. Many of you helped me understand that, and I took everyone's advice and recently started seeing a therapist to help. Thank you. To the people who said I deserved it or who were gatekeeping being an assault victim, I wish that you never go through what I've been dealing with. Even if you're cruel, you don't deserve what I've been feeling. So I met my friends 2 days later. They were calling me, asking to see me. I had taken 2 days off sick because I just had a mental breakdown. I couldn't really function. Next thing I know, I'm laying in my bed and I hear a knock on my door. When I went and opened it, it was friends A, B, and C. They came to check on me. I let them in and they demanded I told them what was going on. We sat on my couch and for a moment I was silent. But friend A nudged me, and I came clean. I told him how she and I had been hanging out together, how we had been drinking and I let her stay at my place to sober up, and when I said no to sex, I woke up to her riding me. I then explained how to try and gain control. The day after, she asked to have sex and I said yes, but what I hadn't mentioned in my post was that I couldn't get it up. I felt too horrifically gross with her, and that I instead locked myself in my restroom, saying that I was having the runs and got a lift for her home. I cried hard. I told them how when I saw her how my stomach lurched and how I felt like yelling and so angry, how awful I felt and that's why I left. Then I told them how my family had blamed me and called me a crotch for not wanting sex. I just vented it all in tears, and when I couldn't choke back sobbing, friend A hugged me. It had been months since I had touched someone else. I couldn't bring myself to for some reason, but hugging him felt right, and that's when I realized he and friends B and C were crying too. For a moment things were weepy and friend B and C hugged me with A and just said soothing things to calm me down. They made jokes. I laughed and said sorry to them, then told me how the night went. So the night they hung out, and I left immediately. Friend A, friend B and C questioned our girl who assaulted me. She said that we had just had a negative experience on a date and that she didn't know why I would be upset. That it probably wasn't even about her. Issue is friend A had seen how I was looking at her and felt weary, but apparently she was a new coworker of his at the restaurant he works at and she had wanted to hang with him and he said yes. So when they start drinking and catching up on Game of Thrones, intended thing to do that night, they watched her pop some pills and start chugging down her beers, which were red flags immediately to my guys because she admitted herself she didn't know exactly what she was taking, and tried to get really intimate with friend A. So thing is, friend A is in a relationship so he tells her no, yet she still tries to cuddle him and stuff, though he doesn't want that. So the episodes end and she's too out of it to drive and says she doesn't have the money for a lift. Thing is, my friends have been drinking so they can't drive either, so then she asks if they can let her sleep here for the night. They all agree and after B and C leave it's just A, making the couch for her to sleep. That's when she asks to sleep with him, and he says no. So she tries again, and he refuses. So now A is pissed off, so he tells her once he's taken a nap he's taking her ass home. So he goes to his room, leaving her. He then tries to take a nap only to wake up to find R trying to get in his bed naked, and he flips. He was furious and called B and C, and they kicked her out of the apartment with most of her clothes in hand. He then notified their boss in the morning and she was fired from her job for drug abuse. That's not the end though. She went to the police the day after they kicked her out, and she actually filed a false sex assault claim against friend A. Issue is when police came to question him, luckily he had a camera for his room since he's always been paranoid, and now I know why. Police came and he showed them the video evidence that vindicated him immediately. So now she's facing some severe penalties and issues over what she did, false police report and whatnot. They asked me to bring up what she did to me with the police. But honestly I don't know if I can or if bringing up something I can prove like my friend is even worth it. What I do know is at the moment I haven't lost my friends, and I honestly don't care what happens to her. I just want to get over this. So I'll continue to go to therapy, and my friends will support me, and I'll support them. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.